I do have to say I love what Mazda is doing. They're going against the flow, against everybody else pretty much, while all the manufacturers were always making their engines smaller and smaller and adding turbos and making them more efficient, even though in the end those tiny engines really weren't more efficient. They were much thirstier because they were smaller, less powerful, and had to work harder. Mazda in the meantime just said, we don't do downsizing, we do right sizing. So the right engine for the right car. And this is sort of the continuation of that. Like I said, we've tested the 3.3 liter diesel 6-cylinder engine for the Mazda CX-60, for example, and it's also going to be in the Mazda CX-80, sorry. And now the Mazda 3, the Mazda CX-30 has gotten a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine, something a bit unheard of over here in Europe, at least in these parts, to be completely honest. If you have a smaller car, you wouldn't even dream of having anything larger than a 2-liter engine, but that's mostly because we're used to still sort of this period of turbocharged engines. In the 80s and 90s, 2.5 liters wouldn't really be all that much, but nowadays that's quite a lot. So what's the catch? Well, this 2.5 liter engine has 4 cylinders, 2.5 liters of volume, and it has no turbocharger or supercharger or anything like that. So it's naturally aspirated gas engine, and it will completely replace Mazda's G120 and 150 engines, so 120 and 150 horsepower engines. You can get this car, this engine completely for free. You pay 0 extra if you want this one instead of the older 2-liter engines. Now, Mazda is doing this for a very good reason. If you look at the specs right over here, they might not seem all that impressive, but you do have to remember, again, this is not a turbocharged engine. And Mazda has tuned this power plant to be more efficient, have less exhaust gases, or less harmful gases, and yeah. So all right, I'll stop babbling so much about it and just tell you the numbers, because that's really what we're interested in, right? Because it is a 2.5 liter naturally aspirated engine with an automatic transmission, and what's the fuel consumption? Is that going to be much more horrible than the 2-liter engine? And the answer is, at first, yes. I thought at first it was going to be not that great, because I started driving the car and the fuel consumption was hovering around 7.5 liters per 100 kilometers, which is not very little. And there's a few caveats here. One is that I was driving on the highway, so of course the fuel consumption was higher. You should expect that with any car, really, at 130 kilometers per hour. The second one is that it's winter, so I do use heating of the seats and the steering wheel a lot, so obviously there's a little bit extra fuel consumption there. But also, perhaps more importantly, this car was completely new when I got it. It had 32 kilometers on the odometer, which means that you should probably expect about 1 liter per 100 kilometers more fuel consumption. So, considering that I now have 5.9 liters per 100 kilometers, and I was driving 90 kilometers per hour on the road, and then now I'm in a city with heavy traffic, or heavy-ish traffic, with start and stop traffic, it's actually quite impressive. The lowest I've seen driving economically was 4.8 liters per 100 kilometers, and the number was still going down. So I would say for a 2.5 liter engine that's completely brand new, so it's got a higher fuel consumption because of it, that's pretty impressive. As always, there's pluses and minuses to this whole logic that Mazda has with naturally aspirated engines. Let's look at the cons first. If you're used to turbocharged engines, then sitting inside this car, you will be kind of confused, because the torque just isn't there, the torque of a turbocharged engine. Not a lot happens when you press the gas pedal. There's a lot of noise, but then it happens, and it doesn't happen as much of an oomph as it does in a turbocharged engine or a diesel engine with lots of torque. So, that's just a different sort of driving logic you have to have. Secondly, it's a gas engine, so you immediately assume that it's going to have a higher fuel consumption than a diesel engine would. And yes, that's it is true, I suppose. But then you look at all the pros. It doesn't have a turbocharger or a supercharger. So you don't have any problems with that in the future, just in case a turbocharger would decide to fail or, anything that might happen, which could be lots of repair bills down the road. But also, because it's a gas engine and it's not a diesel engine, you don't really have to worry about taking it on very short drives because, well, it's not really going to have that PDF filter. It does have a PDF filter. Modern gas engines also have a PDF filter now, but it won't be blocking it, apparently, so I was told, because there's not that many particulates that the engine emits. And third, well, it's just very civilized and it's very quiet. Yes, diesel engines have become very civilized and quiet in the recent past as well now, but, this is just extra civilized and extra quiet. And when I was driving 90 kilometers per hour on the road, and it was really very pleasant how nice and smooth it was. It's a nice experience.